it's Jason from Pro Guitar Studio. Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about natural harmonics, which are really cool. If you've never done this before, this is a lot of fun. So I'm going to show you today, number one, how to do natural harmonics. But then also for those of you who are sort of drawn into the idea of doing a major chord or major arpeggio with harmonics, I'm going to show you how to do that as well. So there's a lot of fun we can have here. But first, let's talk about the harmonic technique or natural harmonic technique and what it is. So a harmonic or natural harmonic in this case here is actually done by not pushing down on a fret, but by holding your finger above a fret wire on the guitar without pushing down. And we achieve the sound through essentially just touching very lightly and then letting go. Now, there's probably some really cool math behind this. And if anyone watching this has an idea of what goes in behind this or what is behind the scenes in terms of making these harmonics happen, I'd love to know further. I'd love you to sort of share with me. But I know in this case here, the first harmonic we're going to look at on fret number 12 is the exact halfway point of the string. So I know it definitely has something to do with division of the string, but there are places on the guitar or on each string where we can essentially touch the string and get a harmonic as opposed to playing a natural note. We can touch the string just above the fret and actually make that sound. So starting off here in terms of the harmonic technique. So the 12th fret on the guitar is the easiest place to do this. Now I know this guitar is not the easiest to see the fret dots, but fret number 12 over here. And instead of pushing down in between the frets like we normally do, we're actually going to put our finger above the fret wire, okay? So if you look at my finger there, I'm right above the wire, not back this way. I'm on the wire, and I'm not going to push down. I'm just going to put some pressure on the string. So enough pressure where my finger isn't like floating in the air, but also not enough pressure where I'm pushing down on the frets. I'm not pushing down. I'm actually just touching above, okay? So the first thing you want to do is be able to pick that note and get that harmonic sound. Now, if I leave my finger there as I do that sound, it'll just die out on me. So what I want to do is I want to play a harmonic, then move my finger away, okay? Now, there's also a bit of let's say picking technique going on here, because if I come over near the fretboard, pick near the neck, we get a sound, but if I go over near the bridge, the tension there and the power of that note is actually much stronger for some reason when I pick over towards the bridge. Now, it doesn't need to be right on the bridge, but if you go over further, you can definitely get a stronger sound. Okay, so keep that in mind as you're working on this. Also, for those of you playing the acoustic guitar, it's going to be much quieter. So usually on the acoustic, my students, when they try this, they think they're not doing it right. But if you get some kind of sound there, even if it's not the sound that I'm playing there, where it's really strong and it sustains a lot, then you're on the right path, okay? So keep in mind, it can take a bit of time to get used to this technique. So the 12th fret is the easiest place to do this, right? So fret number 12. Try that on each string. The next fret that's easiest to do this, so after number 12, is fret number 7. So fret number 12 actually gives us the same note as that you would have played on the fret, right? So I'm going, it's the same as actually pushing down, but you get some cool sounds because the notes sustain longer. Fret number 7, it's the same idea. It's a note name on fret number 7. So if I'm playing a B here, that note's a B, but it's an octave higher than we're actually playing, okay? So the sound is actually, let's say 12 frets higher than it. So it'll sound like fret number 19 instead of fret number 7, okay? So fret number 7 is the next easiest. And then after that comes fret number 5. Now this is a little harder, so you might have to work more to get this sound. But those are the most common, right? 12, 7, and 5. Now, there are other places on the guitar to get harmonics. I don't want to go too much into detail about all the harmonics you can get because there's quite a few. And depending on how you pick it, you can actually get almost any fret can make a harmonic sound. And it just depends on where you are on the fretboard. But you'll find a lot of players will do pinch harmonics by utilizing the harmonics up here. You find there's some just above your pickups. And so the pinch harmonic is done by actually striking that harmonic with your thumb. So when I'm playing the 5th fret here, for example, if I strike this harmonic with my thumb after I use the pick, we can change the pitch, but depending on which harmonic we're playing. But that sound comes from. The pinch harmonic is the same idea. We're actually hitting a harmonic that's higher up the fretboard, or ideally hitting a harmonic. And if you've done these pinch harmonics before, you might not be thinking of that, but this is where the harmonics exist, and that's sort of what you're getting the sound from, right? So the harmonics that you're actually hitting up. There's also other things like bell tones, where you can basically play a harmonic of a note 12 frets higher than where you're playing. You can do it by plucking with your finger, playing with your thumb. There's a whole range of ways to do this. But let's just keep this on track here. And looking at the harmonics we had at 12, 7, and 5, that's a nice starting point, right? You can also get one at 19, which is the same as 7. But to get to the major triad or major chord that I was talking about here, we're going to do something a little different. So we're going to go to the 5th fret. So I also didn't mention before what the 5th fret note is. It's actually the same as the open string, but an octave higher. Or I guess I should say 2 octaves higher, because this is actually 2 octaves higher than the open string. So the 5th fret on string number 6, for example, is going to be an E note. The 5th fret on string number 5 is an A and a D here. So for the example I played at the beginning here, I did the 5th fret on string number 5, and that note right there is going to be an A note. Now the cool thing is if I go back to the 4th fret, much harder to get. So you have to work harder for this one. This is definitely one you need some practice with. You have to move your finger away quite quickly. So fret number 4, it actually gives us the same note that I'm playing there, the 4th fret, the C sharp. All right, now fret number 3 at the end here, this is the funny part, or I should say interesting part. That note there on the 3rd fret, for whatever reason, gives us an E note. All right, so this harmonic on fret number 7 on the 5th string is an E, but this one down here is also an E. It's just higher than this one. And so, like I said, there's probably, I don't know for sure, there definitely is some mathematics involved behind this. There's some kind of method to the madness. Now the 3rd fret, for whatever reason, is the same as the E note, the 5th interval of the A note. So we have the A, the fundamental tone, the open string, the C sharp on the 4th fret, and the E on the 3rd fret. So I just did, basically I followed the blues pattern, and I did, so A, C sharp, E, C sharp, A, C sharp, E, C sharp. All right, so that's going to be our A pattern. Do it again. Then the D string, I just do the same thing for the D chord. You can see I mess it up all the time, so really, I got to let go really quickly to get that sound. And then we're going back to the A. Then the E string. Back to the D. To the A. And also, again, picking towards the bridge is what gets that sound. Like I was picking over here when I showed you first. But down here. Much easier to hear that, right? So as you play through it, you'll probably find those things will become natural as you play with it, because it sounds much better than I can't even get the sound over here. All right, so going through this again, when we get to that E chord, to D, back to A, E, D, A. All right, so let that note ring out at the end. Now, the notes of the A chord I already went over, the A, C sharp, E. The notes of the D chord, we have D, F sharp, A. There we go. And the notes of the E chord are E, G sharp, B. You probably heard some bands of some artists who are playing with all the harmonics along the string. That can be sort of fun. So many sounds sounds you can get, right? But yeah, if you want to play with some cool ideas here, giving you the notes for the major triad on each string. So the 5th fret, 4th fret, and 3rd fret are equivalent to the root, the 3rd, the major 3rd, and the 5th. Or in the A chord, it's A, C sharp, E. In the D chord, it's D, F sharp, and A. And the E chord is E, G sharp, and B. So hopefully that gave you some fun things to think about. And I'd love to hear your ideas too. So, I mean, I don't have enough time to go into all my ideas on harmonics here. But like I said, if anyone knows why these harmonics are laid out like that, please let me know below. And if you have some ideas of what you like to do with this, I'd also love to hear from you. And if you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe for more videos like this each week, and I hope to see you soon.